Hello everyone and welcome to Storytime. Storytime is here to give voice to anyone. As each one of us has our individual story, we all share the same narrative. We are all beings on an adventurous journey that we call life. Today I would like to welcome my dear friend and, as I like to refer to him, my empowerer, Michael. We first met online and he liked the way I wrote. So he encouraged me to finish my book project after all these publishers I had reached out to had refused me.
I love making things happen.
I'm very grateful for him being on this place called Earth, because with Michael I have at least one person who profoundly cares for the message Gaia wants to tell us. Michael is a retired printer in New York. Once he was retired, he started Printernet Project. Printernet Project is about using print in the service of social justice.
I'm really passionate about social justice and always have been since I was, at least and since I was in college.
So he's also working on a theory of emergence with colleagues from all over the world, as I assume India, Seattle, Barcelona, and also a place in Canada. So Michael, thank you very much for being my storyteller today.
First of all, thank you so much for doing what you're doing. I mean, we both care a lot about people who don't have any voices being able to have voices, and I know how much that means to me, and I also know how much it means to everybody I work with. When I was born, I was the first baby born among all the refugees in that displacement camp, right? And to put icing on the cake, I was a boy, right? So here you are with the whole group of 20, 30 somethings. Think of the dormitory. It's not really a camp. It's like being in college, okay? But you didn't have to go to classes. So in a lot of ways, it was a great time. You know, after the terrible time they had, it was a great time. All right, so you have all these refugees who've lost everything in the world, and the baby boy is born, right? And so they treated me like a prince, which affected me forever. I'm fiercely passionate about my family, so that they are always priority one. And so whatever else is going on, I will stop anything I'm doing, drive anywhere I have to drive, if they have a problem. I've always been and continue to be fascinated by figuring out how everything works. I just need to know. And then, of course, anybody who knows me knows that I'm passionate about print. Oh yeah, and I love to talk, as you know me very well. That's like, it's been an affliction I had since I was 2 years old. And it all really makes sense because I'm a refugee from Poland and Germany. I was born in the DP camp, so you can see why it's natural that I'm passionate about family. It's like, I know how precious it is, and I know how easily it can be destroyed. And that's why there's nothing more important to me. Then I came to America with just my two parents and me. And I was two and 2.5. And, you know, all of us, no brothers, no sisters, no money, didn't speak the language. So we came to New York. Then my father went to look for a job, because you can imagine we were penniless. And so he found somebody from the old country who opened up a printing shop, and he got a job there. And we lived on the Lower East Side. But they tell me when I was 2 years old, I I really like to eat. I was an I was an eater and I was a talker. And I know about the eating part because I've seen pictures of me at that age. I was the cutest, chubbiest little baby you ever saw. At the core, I thought I was a prince. At the end, I was usually the smartest little boy in the room. And then everybody else thought I was a prince. And I was a prince until I went to college. And in college, I found out that I was very far from being the smartest little boy in the room. And that was actually a traumatic experience for me. It was, it actually led to me staying under the covers for about a week and a half. In fact, when I was in college, I got a D in English composition. In retrospect, I richly deserved the D. But I was in a class, I was at an elite school, I was at Columbia. And so what you had were a lot of what I call white boys from private schools. And they, unlike us in public schools, they spent a lot of time learning how to write. And so compared to them, I was a D student. And then after a while in my sophomore year, my junior year, I found an outlet for my social justice DNA in the civil rights movement and then the anti-war movement. And so I was pretty active in the anti-war movement. I was one of the founders of Students for a Democratic Society at Columbia in 1966. Then there was a demonstration at Madison. And one of the things that happened at that demonstration, it was a peaceful demonstration. And then the police came in to clear, it was inside, and the police came in to clear the space and they used billy clubs. And it was the first time I ever heard the sound of a billy club against someone's skull. And once you hear that is a traumatic event. And so one thing led to another, and I didn't finish the master's program. And then one thing led to another. And then I was very active after I got out of the master's program. And the activity lasted until about 1972. In 72, the movement had pretty much, my part of the movement had pretty much slowed down. And I was sort of set adrift. You know, it's like a huge wave had left me on some shore. And so I was faced with, what am I going to do? By then I was married to a wonderful lady, and it was love at first sight. It was as if, as they say, I was struck by a thunderbolt. We were both left on the beach and we had to figure out what to do. So we did a couple of things. She had a good friend and we got involved in a nonprofit art organization on the Lower East Side. We rented an apartment in a storefront for $65 a month, which is about what we could afford. And it was a glass store. And the apartment was on the same blocks as the Hells Angels, very famous motorcycle gang. And the way the Hells Angels worked on that block is they were like the lords of 3rd Street. They had a 6-story apartment building. In front of the apartment building were probably around 25 to 30 Harley Davidson motorcycles, right? There was a lot across the street from the apartment building with a fence. And every morning we would come out and we would see all these broken bottles on top of the fence. They used it for target practice. Nice. And so we learned something about 3rd Street. After everything, one thing led to another, to another, to another. And we started our printing company with one very, very small press. It's called a multi-lith. The maximum size it printed was 11 inches by 17 inches. And for the next 3 years, I was the printer. And and this goes to the joy of doing stuff that nobody else would do. On this little press, I printed a 22 color poster, 11 by 17 poster for a local theater company. Obviously crazy. That was one of I think basically throughout my whole life, I'm much too stupid to know what can't be done. Then after that, there was a big fire in the city. We had to move. Again, we didn't have much money, so we didn't have enough room to take the press. So we moved into a printing building and we became printing brokers. At some point in a different place, I'll show you the stuff we produced. One of my favorites is we produced an art exhibit in Serbia with artists from all over the world. And the whole thing cost us $85. So, you know, the most life-changing way is that I'm finally writing an autobiography to tell my story. And the reason it's important is because I'm writing it to my grandchild. This is a limited edition with an audience of 1. And the reason is, aside from the fact that I just have to do it because I have to do it, what I hope happens is that I have you can imagine I have an incredible relationship with my granddaughter. We are such good friends, I can't tell you. I just can't even describe it. And what I hope happens is that when she's 25 and she has kids and she can pick up this book and say, that's who my grandfather was. And get that sense of history and being connected. And so now I just started 2 days ago, right? In fact, I'm discussing this in my Meta Theory Facebook group. I started 2 days ago working on a series of books. And the series is called The Caterpillar's Guide to Designing Everything. It's caterpillar because I love the caterpillar in the Alice in Wonderland, because he just sits on his ass, watches the world, and smokes his hookah. I can't imagine a better character to describe who I am. So when I have to talk to people, especially in person, that's an energy drain for me. It's hard. COVID times is great for me. I've been training for COVID my whole life because I like to stay at home. My favorite place in the world is my home. I don't like cocktail parties. The only times I go out is with, I have about 5 really good friends. And the only time I enjoy going out is having dinner with them, because conversation is easy. Conversation with other people, it goes to the fact that I talk too much. And so you can imagine when somebody meets me, it's like, "Ay, what a bore." And it takes me a lot of energy to control that. Whereas when I'm at home and since I've been using Facebook to talk to people all over the world every day, it doesn't affect me. In fact, it's an advantage because then people don't come and visit me. Where I want to go is I want the UN to adopt my program and change the world. 3 times is my absolute maximum.